the same general time and area as the Amtrak train that derailed on Tuesday. The FBI is involved, and it is checking damage to the windshield of the Amtrak train, as you can see there. The crash killed 8 people and injured more than 200. Federal regulators now ordering safety improvements along the busy Northeast corridor. Joining us now for the very latest on the developments, California Congressman Jeff Denham is chairman of the subcommittee on railroads, pipelines, and hazardous materials. Thank you so much for talking to us. And I understand that you visited the crash site on Wednesday. In fact, we have a couple pictures of you as you're talking with investigators there. Did you see any evidence of the windshield damage?
I did, and those were some of the questions that we were asking both the NTSB director as well as FRA directors there, was specifically what hit the windshields and what was the impact of it.
That's incredible, because there, I've been reading, have been reports in the past that in this exact same section of the tracks that people have been known to throw rocks at trains in this particular section of the route. Have you heard of that?
No, I haven't heard of it, but we are still very focused on the fact that this train was going 106 miles an hour, well over double what is rated during that section.
Right.
And, you know, we've got concerns that there's either human or mechanical error in this.
Yeah, and a lot of the concern is whether or not the Amtrak engineer was distracted somehow. And so now the investigators need to conclude whether a hit on the windshield is the reason for the distraction, considering he has absolutely no memory of the train accelerating to over 100 miles per hour before turning that curve and derailing. So then how do investigators go upon figuring out and determining if it was human error or if it was a rock or somebody shot at this train, which then distracted the engineer?
Yeah, it was a new train. The train had only been in service for just over a year.
Yep.
So we are looking at the mechanical aspects of this, and certainly with the camera and the black box that were on the train, we expect to have a full investigation of this. You know, such a horrific accident. You know, people are going to demand answers. The family members that lost loved ones are going to demand answers, and we need to make sure that this full investigation happens so that we can make sure it never happens again.
That is the goal, on top of trying to figure out what caused this, is prevent this from ever happening again. The Federal Railroad Administration says this was Amtrak's 9th derailment this year alone. In 2008, as you know, Congress mandated a safety system. It's known as positive train control to be installed across Amtrak by the end of 2015. Here we are, we're in 2015, and only a few of the nation's lines actually have it in place. Why is that?
Well, part of it is the Federal Communications Agency has not given them full authority on the Northeast Corridor. We expect Amtrak to be working with the administration to put this in place immediately. It should have been done already, and in fact, on this curve, automatic train control, the sister of positive train control, was put in place on the other side of the curve.
That's right.
We're making sure it gets implemented now immediately.
And this is the Northeast Corridor where the accident happened. That happens, by the way, to be Amtrak's busiest stretch. What can Congress do to help get this safety system be put in place nationwide with no delays so that this never happens again?
Well, we've allocated the money, but oftentimes Amtrak switches that funding to different areas, different parts of the country, or spends it on different things. We've got a mandate that they actually fulfill the commitment of positive train control and not wait until there's another accident. A couple years ago, we had Metro North that had a similar type accident,
right,
and they should have had positive train control there at that time. They do now. We can't continue to wait until there's an accident before we put the mandates that Congress has put in place.
What more do you know about the Amtrak engineer? He apparently has been extremely cooperative. He has submitted blood tests so that they can do a drug and alcohol test. He's been answering as many questions as he possibly can. Unfortunately, he just doesn't remember the actual accident. He doesn't remember taking the train up to 106 miles per hour when it hit that curve. Another train nearby that alleges to have had something hit its windshield actually had to pull on the emergency brake. What do we know happened in the moments before this crash happened that this Amtrak engineer is unable to fill the blanks of?
We know that he had been on Amtrak's payroll for 5 years, that he'd done this route many, many times in the past. We know that the train left the station on time, so he was not in a hurry to try to make up time. but in an area that is 8 miles long that he should have been going 50 miles an hour or less, he got up to 106 miles an hour. And 2 to 3 seconds prior to hitting that curve, he did hit the emergency brake, but it only slowed the train down about 3 miles an hour.
Congressman Denham, thank you very much. We look forward to answers, especially for all those families. It's such a tragedy. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Kelly.